Lotte Wakeham, the director, and the artistic director, Bolton, she'd seen me in many plays. I was in the original cast of quite a few things. Everybody's talked about Jamie, Life of Pi, lots of things. But she had reckoned that every time she read this play, she just thought about me. So I said, she said, oh, would you like, I thought about doing Shirley Valentine. I said, well, I've never really thought about doing a one-woman show before, because I like working with actors, I like collaborating, I like just that kind of camaraderie. So I said, if I'm going to do this play, I don't want to do it in a Liverpool accent, because it doesn't really mean anything to me, that accent. And I said to her, do you think Willy Russell let me do it in Lancashire? And would he let me then reset certain sections, or because there's certain things that he non-negotiables has to be set in the mid-80s, because this is ostensibly about a woman who talks to the wall and is stuck in her life. So you can't really move it to a more modern era, because there's too much stimuli, outside stimuli now, that she could get access to. So set in the mid-80s, which is a fabulous era anyway. That's when I went to college, and I love that year.
I love the jumper that you wear, I'm not going to lie, with a
nice
bit of a
butterfly
butterfly thing going on.
Yeah, no, that's the designer, Sue Newell. She's absolutely brilliant. Everything on the set is just brilliantly designed. So we asked Willy if he'd allow, because he'd never up to that point allowed anyone to do anything, reset it, or he had allowed somebody to look at doing it in an Irish accent just the year before, but the director had written, and he was more hands-on with that, Willy. But it's still not setting at any other era. So they were going to get me a writer. I said, well, I might as well write it, because they're only going to say what I'm going to say. They're going to write down what I'm saying, because I'm from Accrington, I know, and I like research, and I did a lot of research about that era. So how Willy wrote the original, I'd kept very truthful to things that he'd written about in Liverpool and around there that was seminal, places like the Adelphi and places like that. I then extrapolated to Accrington and surrounding areas like Rottenstall, Manchester, the Midland Hotel, which was very important.
And that actually gets acknowledgements from the audience, because when they hear those places and go, oh, I know that place in Blackburn, it's like we're all feeling part of it, you know?
Yeah. And I know that it's done all the time, the original, like Sheridan Smith just did it in London. But to me, to be able to hear the recognition, and also to be able to, because we talk very fast, and I really like the fact that I can talk with ease. I know that there's the ways that the vernacular in which we speak can be really understood, really just like second nature. It's like literally sitting in somebody's front room. That's why somebody said, oh, it was like I was just watching you, just sitting, chatting. And then second half, we go to Greece.
If it's sounding so natural to the audience, that's what you want. That is what Shirley is doing, isn't it? She's having that conversation with the wall, with the rock when we get to Greece. Well, how did you feel, though, when you were approaching Willy Russell? Because, I mean, that must have been a little bit terrifying.
It is scary, because he's just a seminal, amazing human, and as a playwright, and as, watching Blood Brothers. I remember watching Blood Brothers on the same day as I watched Kiss of the Spider Woman in London. I saw Keita Rivera in those big musical theatre people, which I am, because I trained in musical theatre and acting. To me, musicals are everything. So I saw Blood Brothers, and I thought, God, and Educating Rita was always massive. I remember watching Shirley Valentine years ago and thinking, what a brilliant, but it's just brilliant. The writing is brilliant. He's brilliant. I'd never met him. I didn't know what he was going to be like. But when I sat, I had to sit, me and Lotte Wakeham I sat, after having a month of exchanging on the Word document all the different elements of writing that I was doing for the play, and then literally had to go and read it to him. He was sat so near to me, like literally over here. And I read the play, and there's certain things he went, oh, that's why have you brought that? But then he just listened to it, and then he went, yeah, you'll be all right with that. That's very good, that. And then, and he let me change a couple of things that are seminal, like egg and chips, because originally that was written as chips and eggs, and we don't really say that. And I said, we don't say that in Lancashire, can I change it? Like, how dare I? Can I change one of your really iconic lines, please? And he said, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. He said, oh, yeah, I
Brilliant.
suppose. Yeah. And he really loved the fact that I'd written egg and bastard chips, which is one of my funniest lines.
Well, can we just discuss these egg and chips? Because I've got to say, like watching you make egg and chips from scratch on the stage. And when I say from scratch, you know, everybody, like you can make an egg from scratch. That's not really a difficult thing, but you are peeling the potatoes. We are seeing you cut it. And I'm like thinking, oh, she cuts them quite well, actually. I might do that next time when I'm making chips. But you do that every single night. Has anything gone wrong on that one?
No, I mean, you know, thing is, I'm so in charge of the play, really, I think. Because you have to make it look really spontaneous as well as being totally in charge of the play. Because, like, sometimes, like one of the nights, the other night, I forgot to turn the oil on. So therefore, and you only know that when you're doing something else.
Yeah.
So I'm troubleshooting all the time. I'm telling you about a story about something else, like telling you about Brian and his
Yeah.
nativity play, or about Marjorie Majors, whilst also going, I wonder if I turn that cooker on, or I wonder if that oil, I can't even hear it. And that's my inner dialogue. There's a great play to be written about the inner dialogue of an actor playing Shirley Valentine, because there's a lot going on there, you know. Because all the stuff about when I get the knife out, you know, I choose to peel my potatoes with a knife. Some actors, I think, have done that with the potato peeler. To me, I just chose what was really natural to me.
Yeah.
And I cut the chips up and I put them in the deep fat fryer. And it's the timing of that.
And they
And
smell
also the egg.
delicious. Everybody in that
Yeah,
audience is thinking,
I
is she
know.
going to come out of character and just give them the chips or something? Are we going to get
Yeah.
these chips? Who gets the chips and the egg at the end of that
Well,
first act?
obviously it goes off because then I stay on to do scene 2.
Yeah.
And they go off and they disappear into technical stage management modes, I think.
I
As
bet they
people
love
eat them.
you.
Well, they have a very good dinner every night, and they're very nice. And the audience, that's what's lovely about regional theatres, or particularly Bolton. So you can hear people. They go, "Oh, look at those chips, aren't they nice?" And then you heard somebody the other day go, "Oh, those eggs. She hasn't popped that yolk at all." You know, it's just like it's just really.
You might have heard me saying when I went to see it, oh, I'd have that with a bit of brown sauce.
I know. I know. Even the director went, "Oh, maybe after this rehearsal, because we can rehearse only in like scientific because we have to have health and safety check. So when we did the cooking of the chips and the egg on the real cooker, you know, there's a working sink and all sorts of things. She said, "Oh, I've just brought some ketchup down," you know, because she never gets any normally. So she comes down and the lighting designer come down and they all have them. But it's lovely. It's written in the play.
Mhm.
What's written in the play is that she prepares an evening meal of egg and chips, and she pours herself a glass of wine.
Mhm.
But all the way that transpires is a creative process for me and Lotte to have worked out, you know, when do I get, how many potatoes do I need? And she peels another potato. And how that happens, what are you doing? When you walk over there, when do you wash the potatoes? When do you get the other knife out? When do you get the plates out? All
I
that is
mean,
just
that is a
marvelous.
challenge. Doing a one-woman
Love it.
play, I think, is just like it scares me to death. It really does. And I just take my hat off to anyone who does it because there is just you on there. But like you said, there's other elements that are going on inside your head. And how do you get through that? 15,000 words, isn't it? Something like
Yeah, it's
that. I
something
mean,
like that. Yeah,
learning that
yeah.
chunk.
And I know that because having, you know, sat down and studied the play, having to write how it would sound and the vernacular of it. It's a magnificent thing. I mean, it goes like that, you know. The worst thing is waiting beforehand. Then once you start, you're on, and then just to hit. I tell you how you get. It's not even a matter of getting through it because it's an absolute joy, as well as being quite terrifying
Yeah.
at the beginning. But it's the audience. The audience, their listening is amazing. Their laughter really fills you up. The timing a gag, where you know that the timing lines, so you can respond to the audience, and they're not. It's not a stand-up routine.
No.
That's what Willy Russell said to me very early on. It's not a stand-up show. It's not something where you respond like to the audience, like with hecklers. And I mean, I got heckled the other day. Somebody shouted, "I like your tan," or something, and then somebody else shouted, Christopher Columbus, not me. Because he's just like, people get really joyous and quite raucous on a Saturday night. You know,
Yeah,
it's quite raucous play. And it really means a lot to people to play.
it does. And I think as well with the whole thing about it not being a stand-up, my husband went to see it with me, and obviously he'd seen the film. He didn't know what to expect with the play. So he's there going, oh, when are the other people coming on? And I'm like, that's not how it happens. So you are taking on those other characters. You know, we're seeing them in you.
And originally it's originally a dear friend, Noreen Kershaw, played the original Shirley Valentine. And obviously then all the characters, it was only ever a one-woman show. That's what Willy wrote. It's a monologue for one person. And then they made the film, and that was populated by, you know, Bernard Hill and Tracy Bennett and Pauline Collins and the wonderful Tom Conti playing Costas. But it was never that on the stage. So when people come, they do wonder when the husband's turning up, but then they seem to get to the end and go, wow, that's quite extraordinary, because I never thought about it after a while. And I've had lots of wonderful feedback, people saying, I always wonder, I thought, oh, this can't work, one person. And they get to the end and say, which is extraordinary for me, that it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And that's a testament to Willy's play as well, because Willy Russell has written a play that is timeless. It's timeless, but also now I can share it with the Lancashire audience in a way that makes me so proud to have been able to approach him to do something so different and so wonderful with it. And now people just think it sounds like a new play, and it's not a new play. It's a timeless play.